Let's work with the data we can get into our QuickBooks reports. To pull up a report, select Reports from the top menu. You could either go into the Report Center, or if you know the report that you want to go to, you can select it in the categories under the Report area. I'll choose Company and Financial. From here, I'll choose the Profit and Loss Standard Report. This covers all of my income and expense accounts. The first thing I might want to do is change the date on the report. It defaults to this month to date. I can click on the drop-down and choose anything I want it to be. It will update itself on the fly. For example, if I want to see how I'm doing, I can choose this fiscal year to date. You'll see that the dates have changed immediately. In fact, I could further change that by clicking on a particular date. Maybe I only want it starting in July. At the top of the report is where I can see all of my income. Underneath that is all of my sub-items. These are all my sources of income that I've set up, which includes discounts, my cooking demo and tasting party, and all my other sales. I can also see the cost of goods sold. I can see my total profit, and underneath that, I can see all of my expenses. For every line item transaction that I assign to an expense account, it's going to show up in this report. For example, over this course, we've had expenses for advertising and promotion, automobile expenses, and travel expenses. This is a great report for tax time. You can look at all of your real business expenses here. You can track your income from your expenses, and that's how you get your final net income. Here it is down at the bottom. I have everything I need in one report, but we can further customize this. Click Customize Report on the top left-hand side of the screen. We already know that we can change the dates in these date range fields, but you also have to decide what you want your report to be based on. This is a very important setting. Whether or not you want your report to be based on an accrual or cash basis. If your report is based on accrual, then the information it's going to choose to display on the report based on this date range is any items that you've invoiced. It doesn't matter if you've received a payment or not. If you've created an invoice and sent it out, then it's going to show up as income. If you choose to review your report on a cash basis, then only payments received in between these two dates are going to show up on your report. You'll get two very different values based upon what you select here if you invoice customers. In the columns area, here you can choose any additional columns that you want to see across the top. It defaults to showing a total only, but you can add subcolumns. For example, you can add a subcolumn for the previous year. And if you do that, you can even decide whether or not you want to see a dollar amount of the change from the previous year or a percentage. This is fantastic if you're trying to compare how you did this year to how you did last year. I'm going to change to the header and footer tab. If you're printing this out, you can also change the way it looks. Put the cursor here, and you can change the report title. You can show any items that you want to include or not include in your report. You can just uncheck something if you don't want it to show up. When you're all done, click the blue OK button. Any changes that you made in that screen will be updated immediately. Here, we changed the title, and it's been reflected. You can also zoom in on your report. Anywhere you see this magnifying glass, you can double-click on it with your mouse, and you'll be brought to that line item. Here I can see what that travel expense was. In fact, if I further double-click on it, it's going to bring me right into that transaction. This is another reason why adding that memo is very useful. I'm going to close out of this. And you can keep closing windows to get out of further details until you're brought back to the report that you started with. Now you know a little bit better about how to work with data. You can change that data and even navigate into it to see where it's pulling those values from. Up next, let's further refine our data by adding filters.